Hi, welcome to Hospitality Live with Rupesh. Each week, we feature an industry leader that will share the latest trends and the best strategies to help you grow. Now, welcome your host, Rupesh Patel.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? I hope you can hear me. I had to cut that music out really quickly, abruptly. Guys, hang on a second. I think I'm still messing this up. I think I got it. All right, I got it. Every week it's something different, right? This week is not any different from me messing things up. And guys, this is episode number 63, Road to Recovery. 10 ways we can motivate our entire team, our talent, whatever you want to call it. We all need a little bit of motivation, especially right now where things might be slowing down for your hotel or things might just be totally shut down. As I hear, some cities are doing some retractions of their COVID, of just all what's going on right now in the industry. Guys, this episode is for leaders. If you want to be a GM, if you want to be a leader within the hotel, or if you're just somebody that is happy with your job, but you just want to be a stronger person that's going to motivate others, you have to watch this episode. Guys, comment, let us know where you're watching from. I am going to be giving shout outs in a couple of minutes and just learn hospitality tips. And I'm super excited to have David Cronin on. He is the brand new GM at the W Hotel that's under construction in Nashville. So I'm super excited to talk about that. Plus, we have Sarah Dandashy, our buddy Sarah, on with the Hospitality Minute, talking about everything that's happening right now. Latest news, latest trends that are happening in hospitality. You have to stick around for that. It's coming up right any minute now. And guys, comment, let me know where you're watching from. I'm gonna pull up where you guys are watching from because I love this. I love hearing where. All right, so we have people from India. Good morning to, hold on, I gotta go all the way to the beginning. Good morning, Maryland. Guys, good morning to Ocean Ridge, Florida. I actually don't know where that is, but good morning. And let me know, educate me where Ocean Ridge, Florida is. It is on the West Coast, East Coast, North. ATL checking in. Puerto Rico checking in. They're saying the echo is pretty bad. Is it bad? Can everybody hear me? Let's see. Make sure that everything is turned down on my end. Bad echo. Hang on a second. Let me make sure. All right, can you hear me now? Sarah, can you hear me? Does everything sound good? Guys, comment, let me know if everything does sound good. Maybe it's my computer. Good morning, Tampa. Good morning, Jeremy Nichols from Tampa. Hey, Finland, I love that. Good morning, Virginia, Kissimmee, Florida. Guys, welcome to the show. Chicago, Texas, Houston, very bad echo. Let me see what I can do about that because I don't know. Hang on a second. Hang on. All right, so this episode is brought to you by, I'm just going to continue going because I don't know if it's everybody or if it's just some people. All right, people are saying no echo. It sounds good here. All right, well, so we'll continue going. All right, so this episode, and somebody drop the website in the comments right now. This episode is brought to you by smartguests.com. Increase your guest satisfaction scores, get more positive reviews, which we all need right now. Even if you have one guest in your hotel, you need to engage with them. We need to connect with them and build your online reputation. Get better reviews on your website, get better reviews on TripAdvisor. I mean, every single website, you should be having some awesome reviews, and use Smart Guests tools to do that. It's customized tools, printed tools, over 50 tools to help you improve your operations, marketing, customer service, all of that. Over 4,500 hotels now take advantage of the Smart Guests tools. I'm super excited about that. Thank you so much to smartguests.com for sponsoring. And yes, thank you so much for everyone that's posting the link in the comments. Guys, all right, so mindset this week, and we talk about mindset every single week. And everyone knows what I've been going through the last couple months and what we've done. And I've just stayed positive through this whole part of what's happening with me. And then, the last few weeks, these last few months, I've not really written down a lot of goals, but I've written down goals. So my question to you is, how do you write your goals down? And this is how I do it. I actually use two methods. I have the method of my Apple Notes and my reminders inside my phone that I just, anytime I come up with that idea, I just pop it in there as a reminder. And maybe it might remind me next week or today or next month or a year down the road. I probably have over 400 reminders. But also in my notes, I also have a list, right? And then I have my notebooks like all over the place that when I don't have when I just not want to open my phone or don't have it close to me, I jot stuff down. So I would love to know, what do you guys do as far as keeping your goals in line, writing things down as far as, just ideas that you have? And my best ideas have been written down. And people are saying, all right, so you're saying journal. Oh, what else? Because I know there's different ways that people use. Maybe they talk to somebody about their goals and they just keep them going. They have, accountability partner, which is awesome. I've had that in the past where I've tried to work out at the gym and I needed somebody to keep me going, right? But how are you keeping those goals in mind? Are you writing them down? Do you have an app? You have a specific app? There's so many different ways, but that's my mindset this week, to continue going and writing things down. If it's digitally, if it's through just a paper and pen journal, whatever it is, you got to keep yourself going when we're talking about our goals and our ideas. And, we can have 100 ideas. Trust me, I have like 100 ideas that come to my brain every single day. And if I don't write them down, they're all gone because I'm thinking like 300 things after that one idea that I wrote down. It is true. I forget a lot. I'm like, what was I thinking? That was like that was going to change the world, right? And if I don't write it down, I'll never get to it. So that's my mindset this week. All right, so I got my buddy Sarah on. Sarah.
Hey.
What's going on?
Good morning.
How you been?
Doing all right. It's getting adjusted to this daylight savings stuff is crazy.
Yeah, what's going on in hospitality news?
All right, let's go ahead and dive.
Let me get your promo together. Hang on. I want to sell you short.
Thanks first.
Hi, I'm Sarah Dandashy from Ask a Concierge. Every week, I'll be sharing the latest hospitality and travel news and updates in a segment we like to call Hospitality Minutes.
All right, now we're back into it. Okay, perfect. So definitely want to dive into a lot of interesting things that are happening this week, or certainly have been coming up in the news. So we will dive right into the Hospitality Minute. We'll be covering Mandarin Oriental. They have a great update in regards to eliminating single-use plastics across their portfolio, as well as the 5 emerging trip types of 2021, because we are definitely seeing some interesting trends from travelers, and then some interesting news from Extended Stay America that I think all of us can actually learn from. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So Mandarin Oriental. So a year ago, so October 2019, they actually came out with a pledge to say that they were going to eliminate all single-use plastics across their portfolio. Now, what they're doing is they're basically doing a 1-year sort of update. And certainly there have been some setbacks in regards to the pandemic and certain changes, but they actually have done a pretty good job. And they've, I think, eliminated about 70% of the 60 most commonly used single plastic items. So I'm sure you were probably like me and wondering, what are the 60 most commonly used items? I won't be listing all of them, but they're talking about, eco alternatives for things like cocktail sticks, straws, body scrubs, tasting spoons, plastic spatulas, things like that, even takeaway bags. So it's great to see what they're doing. They definitely are going to be on point for eliminating all, if not by March, certainly shortly thereafter that. And I think that's something that all of us can get behind, because certainly being green and being eco-friendly is something still on top of all of our minds. So moving on, I loved this when I was discovering this week, the 5 emerging trip types of 2021. So basically, I'll kind of go over them and I'll just dive into them briefly, but you've got solo travels, definitely going to be huge. Relaxury, I'll explain what that is. Breakaway bubbles, weekend wonders or weekend warrior type things, and then foodie lovers. So solo travelers, basically what we were seeing before the pandemic, about 17% of travelers were planning a trip on their own, while now it's slightly up. About 30% are now saying that they're going to plan a solo trip. Relaxury, so basically, this is 61% of travelers have pledged to not take their travel for granted in the future. And so people are actually really getting excited to travel again and make sure that there is a relaxing element to it. Breakaway bubbles. I know that a lot of us have probably seen this so far, and they will continue this trend. So 61% of travelers say that they plan to use future travel as an opportunity to reconnect with loved ones. And they want to actually like use it as a time to actually be together. And they also found, this was an interesting stat, 36% of travelers have revealed that talking to friends and families about traveling still remains one of their main inspirations for travel. Weekend wonders, increased demand for quick trips over the weekend, basically as people are kind of just tiptoeing back into it. They're looking for these shorter getaways. And they found that weekend getaways are a great way for people to kind of just start traveling again. And then, of course, foodie, because everybody's been eating at home. So you've got a lot of people that really want to make food a big part of their travel experience. So all food for thought. And then the final topic for today, extended stay America. So they've actually done really, really great, comparatively speaking, throughout the pandemic. And they want to go ahead and can kind of continue this model. What they've found is, and I think actually they reported a 31.5 million third quarter profit. And what they've found is that for extended stay, for those that don't know, is that they really obviously specialize in those extended stays. And so those occupancy levels have actually remained pretty high, basically because they've been housing a lot of people, whether it's construction, even those that might be working in the medical field, things like that. So they're looking to keep that moving forward. And they're looking to build on the company's transient business space as well, too. So that's it for today's hospitality minute. Thank you, guys. Wow, I took about everything.
Sarah, we've been all over the place. Can you actually hear me? I just switch over my audio.
I can totally hear you. You're good.
Okay. Well, like half the people are like, no, they can't hear me. There's an echo. I heard the echo. I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. So I had to put my AirPods on. And Sarah, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's always awesome to connect with you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, guys.
Hey, where can people connect with you?
Oh, yeah. Find me online everywhere at Ask a Concierge, or follow me on LinkedIn, Sarah Dandashy. Also, YouTube, keep that in mind. And my website, askaconcierge.tv.
Sarah, you have like 3 billion followers on Instagram. Guys, follow her on Instagram at Ask a Concierge. Sarah, we'll talk to you next week.
Definitely. Thank you.
See ya. All right, guys, I'm super excited about our featured guest. So David Cronin, he is the general manager at the brand new under construction W Nashville. He has 25 years of experience from Frankfurt all the way to Nashville. His success is a balance between operating hotels. I mean, hospitality is his life. And he's excited about creating all these different kinds of experiences for his guests. And he has been, as he's been with Marriott and all these different companies. Welcome to the show, David.
Good morning, Rupesh. Thanks for having me, and good morning, everybody from the Music City.
Yeah, absolutely. So, David, I'm excited because we've been sharing, and you've been sharing what's happening with construction at your hotel, and it's always exciting to see like the different phases that you guys are going through. And I love watching all your videos, and you get so much like engagement from it. So I love what you have to share, and I think people are excited because they want to see the process of, if they've never built a hotel, that they get to live it through your eyes, and it's awesome to see those posts that you share.
No, that's exactly right. And I think also, given the environment that we're all in, people are either working and really stressed, or people are not working and also stressed, obviously, about that. Our industry has been, it's fair to say, hardest hit. So it's nice to get a glimmer of some good news. I mean, ultimately, we will bring close to 400 jobs to Nashville, which I think in the current environment is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, comment, let us know where you're listening from. And if you've been to Nashville here recently, I know we have a bunch of people commenting. And if somebody has ever seen the construction that's happening right now in the last 6 months, how long has construction actually been going on?
So they've been at this for quite a while. It's a big project, very ambitious, not necessarily in terms of number of rooms. It's 346 rooms, but a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars, a lot of amenities in the hotel. So we are targeting a opening in the beginning of next year, of 2021. So really, it's been going on for, from the planning phase. I mean, there's been architects on this for 4 to almost 5 years. We've had one architect that I work with that has been working on this project. So it's a team. There's a lot of people on the job site. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now tell us about your background. I know you told me about it a couple of days ago, and I love like everything you've been like. You've worked at hotels, you've worked at restaurants, you've worked all over the place in hospitality. How did you actually get started? And maybe share how you became the general manager at a W hotel, because you've worked at a few.
I have, yeah. So I born in Ireland, in the south of Ireland, and didn't come from a hospitality family. I'm actually the only person in my family that is in hotel business. Up to myself, I broke the chain. Everybody was in the Navy or Merchant Navy. And I tried it for 4 months and decided it wasn't for me. But I graduated from high school in Ireland, tried the Merchant Navy for 5 months, realized it was not for me, went to Germany and used the money that I had saved from being on the ship for 5 months to pay for a year of German school, and then did an internship in a hotel. And I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my God, it was people from all over the world working at the hotel. It was 24/7. There was always something happening. And I had, if you had asked me years prior, I wouldn't have really known anything about that. I never stayed in a hotel. I knew nothing about the hotel business. No, my family's in the hotel business. And I knew that this was really, it sounds dramatic, but a calling, if you will, for me to be in the hospitality industry. And I was enamored by these general managers. I was this intern. I did whatever you told me to do. But, I thought one day I would like to have that position. Now, obviously, it takes a little bit of time to work up to it. But I had worked for several German companies, Maritim Hotels, the Grand Hotel in Frankfurt. And then I joined Marriott in Frankfurt, and I had been in rooms. I did a food and beverage management training program, and then relocated to San Antonio, Texas, and worked throughout the United States. I've been here now for 20 years in various, really all throughout the United States, from Arizona, Miami, Chicago, you name it. But it is an industry that I love, that I'm really passionate about. This is my 6th, I think, GM assignment. And I love the industry. I love the people I work with. Obviously, this is a very, very difficult time for us because there's not a lot of guests in our hotels that are open. And the guests that are traveling have anxiety, and our talent and the people that we work with, our work families, if you will, a lot of them are not there and don't know when they're coming back, and jobs have been lost. And so it is a dark hour. It is probably one of the, I think anyone will tell you that has been in the hospitality industry, it is the worst that they have seen it, but there is hope, and things are starting to come back, and there are green shoots. And I know we will be back because we're such an integral part of life, whether it's celebrations, product rollouts, people just want to, get away for a night stay. I mean, we're in the middle of it. So I know that we will be back, and that's why I'm excited about the project here in Nashville as well.
Yeah, and I love that you say it's part of life, because it is. I mean, just recently we had family fly in for my dad's funeral. They stayed at a hotel, right? Yeah. You go for a graduation for your family, you stay at a hotel. Yeah. You go on vacation, you're going to stay at a hotel. So guys, people that are thinking that this is just like the end of our industry, it is not. No, it is not, right? There is a bright future for it, and you have to stay. You have to hold on to hope, like you were saying, and it's going to get better, right? And I love that we're all staying resilient when we're talking about keeping it going. And that's what we were here today to talk about, is motivating our entire team. I get so many people sending me messages saying like, my team's not motivated, or I'm not motivated. And, then I pry into it and say, what are some, things that you're doing to kind of motivate your team? And they say, hey, we buy them pizza. And I'm like, well, that's not the only thing. So I'm excited to share or learn what you're doing, what you've done to build all these great teams at all these different hotels that you've worked with. And you're saying this is your 6th GM position. So I'm sure you've been super successful trying to build a proper team. And where does that get started? How do you learn it yourself?
So I think as a general manager, I've been in the industry for a significant amount of time, and it starts at the top. So it starts with me, and it's a privilege to be a general manager. And I think with that comes a responsibility and a burden of responsibility to all the talent that work in the hotel, be it their employment or their development. So When you work your way down, right now in Nashville, I'm hiring the executive committee. So positions such as director of engineering, director of human resources, director of sales and marketing. You need to have people that care. And that's on my list here. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it's important to hire the right managers. And I, as I'm sure many of our listeners today, have worked for people where it was horrendous. And I always think that in life, there has to be something good out of everything, no matter how bad it is. So when I look back on some of the people that I've worked where I would think like, oh, not again, there are clear examples of what not to do in leadership. And I think if you work for someone like that and you don't take learning out of it, and then you yourself perhaps replicate some of that, then nothing is coming out of that. But if you make changes based upon some of these behaviors, then I think that's a very positive thing.
Yeah. And David, before we get into the motivating part, let's just for example, I'll share my experience. Coming out of school, I worked for General Electric Power Systems in Atlanta, and my boss there, I won't say his name, I still remember his name, and this is a long time ago. He yelled at everybody. Like when something didn't happen his way, he just went to yelling at every single person. And I still remember how people felt. And it wasn't even yelling at me all the time. It was other people, and I felt their emotions. And I said, you know what? I will never do that in my entire life because of that one experience. How about yourself? Like, was there one thing that said, listen, I'm never going to go down that path as a leader?
No, I definitely. I think I've had the fortune of working for some amazing people, very inspirational, and have had positives. But I've also worked for I can think of some individuals, again, without mentioning a name, where I thought, boy, there's no integrity. That is just not the way to do it. You really don't care about your teams. Fiscally, you have to lead by example as well. If it's a tough environment and people are hurting, it's completely inappropriate for a general manager to go out there and say, we're going to throw a huge party because people's jobs are on the line. It always depends on, what type of environment you're in. But I definitely have, and I've taken the learnings out of it. And just like you, Rupesh, I've also been exposed to, in Germany to a certain degree, where it was, people were, and this was more individual based, not necessarily Germany, but earlier on in my career, where you were belittled and yelled at and screamed at. And it's just, there's better ways to do it. We need to, there's better ways, just like raising your kids. There's better ways to raise your kids as well. So.
Yeah, and absolutely. And guys, remember, we're giving away a $50 gift card to Amazon before the end of the show. David and I are both going to pick the winner here. So I'm reading the comments here on the right. But please comment and share and be engaged with this conversation here. Have you ever been treated so poorly at any jobs in the past where you changed the mindset that you're not going to go down that path and you're going to go on this positive mindset and you're going to make sure that you lead. And that's what we're here to do. And so comment and let us know if that's ever happened to you and then you've had to change yourself. Because I think that's very powerful when you're talking about becoming a stronger leader. And leaders learn every single day. It's not like we just learned this one thing and then we're done. That's why I continue learning from David and hundreds of people, thousands of people every single day. And I'm not going to stop till I'm gone. That I'm going to keep learning. And so, as we motivate ourselves, we also need to motivate others. And David, you came up with these 10 great tips, and let's just kind of go through them because I think they're important when we're talking about motivating. So David came up with 10 ways to motivate your talent, your staff, your team, whatever you want to call it. I know you guys call it talent at the W. Is that kind of like ladies and gentlemen for the Ritz-Carlton?
That is correct. So yes, we obviously would never use the term ladies and gentlemen because we are certainly not that formal. But at our lifestyle hotels, it would be talent for a W brand and associates for other brands. So stars, for example, like Gaylord. So it's all the same. Those are the people that you work with. Yeah.
Understand. So let's go to number one real quick and let's see if I can get. All right. So the first one is personalized. What does that mean?
So I think when you think about motivation and inspiration, it's not a one size fits all. It's not the same for everybody. You have to look at your talent pool. And I'll give a brief example to illustrate. But if you take a stylist, or in a traditional sense, a housekeeper, and you take a welcome agent or a front desk associate, especially at a W hotel, our welcome agents tend to be quite young, 18, 19, 20 years old. And your stylists, your housekeepers, could be in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. They're in a different place in their life and they're motivated by very, very different things. So I think it's critical for a department head or for a manager to think about that before they throw something together. It could be, for example, well, I'm going to get pizza for everybody. And there's certainly nothing wrong with pizza. Everybody loves pizza. I love pizza. And people always appreciate food when they're working hard.
Sure.
But that personalized inspiration, I think, is very important. Your accounting team might be motivated by something different to your culinary guys, right? Because the culinary guys, let's face it, they're not supposed to, but they're always eating on the line. We all know that. So the
Yes.
food may not do it for those guys because they already have it. So there may be something else needed there, and it could be things just as for some people it's monetary, because people always say money, and we'll get to that later in the top 10. It is certainly important. I'm not going to dismiss that, but also there are others, and I think this will resonate with a lot of people, where it's all about responsibility. Somebody does a great job, they are craving motivation, and you say, I'm going to give you a bit more responsibility. And people, there are a lot of people that is a form of recognition as well. Now, people could say, you're just giving them more work, but there are people that want to move up into management. I was one of those people. You gave me more responsibility. I was like, they trust me with a certain task. Show me how to do it. So lots of different pieces.
All right. And I love that you're saying personalized. It's kind of like our kids, or when you were a kid, like you weren't the same as your brother or sister, and same thing with your kids. They're not the exact same people. So if you can personalize it to individual people, understanding what their goals are in life, where they are in life, I think that makes sense. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one's be hands-on. Hands-on meaning like go and do laundry, or go and do go clean the pool.
So be hands-on is personally probably one of my favorites, and I think it's never out of style. So be hands-on is a leader that is willing to be in the trenches, leads from the front. There are lots of different terms that we use. But when I think about this, I have an example. I was a food and beverage director years ago at a very high volume resort. And I had moved there in December, and it was the 31st, New Year's Eve, and all the restaurants were packed. We had, I think, 3 restaurants. And I remember walking into, set reservations. I remember walking into one restaurant at, it might have been, 10:45, 11 at night. And the staff was running around, and they recognized me and said, hey, we can't find a manager. Well, it turns out the manager had left for the evening. And, I have to say that, that happens in hotels, or I like to use the word office dweller. Sometimes I had a conversation when I hire managers. I said, listen, this is a people industry. Now, I understand that we have thrown so many tasks at people, right? Paperwork, this, that, and the other. So I get that. But at the end of the day, is there a way to streamline some of that so we can spend time with our talented associates, and we can spend time in front of the customer? Because the customer, if they don't see you, there's no gain to be gotten from that. So I think it's important to be in the trenches, be hands-on. And part of it, I spoke the beginning of the year before everything had really shut down in Vegas at a hotel about concerns that people had. And I have to admit, I got on the stage, and there were some fierce competition in terms of, very stoic brands, and they talked about trends. And I thought, boy, what do I have? And I just got up and I said, how many of you have kids that are in college, graduating from college? And a lot of hands went up. And I said, so your kids are coming to me. And that's my worry, because I have kids and they don't know how to button a jacket, and they don't know not to drink their Starbucks in front of a customer. They're not doing anything wrong. They shouldn't be yelled at. That's just what they know, even though you've invested $80,000, $100,000, I don't know, depending on where they go to school, student loans. And now they're coming to work. And something, for example, of, have they ever polished their shoes? I mean, is that dated? Is that not hip? I don't know. You probably should have clean shoes when you're at work. So for me, there's a lot of things that comes back to being hands-on and mentoring. We have an obligation. The millennials are not lazy. That is nonsense. There's great talent out there. They are the future, so we can hopefully retire. So it's incumbent upon us to pass on our learnings onto them.
Right. And I hear a lot of people say, yeah, millennials are lazy. They don't want to work. They don't. But, as us being a little bit older, we have to think like them, I think, more than I understand where their goals are in life. Yeah. Maybe they weren't, because maybe our parents said, you need to have a job. You need to go do this. You need to buy a house. Where millennials like, I don't want to own a car.
Exactly right.
I don't want to own a house. I'm happy renting. I'm happy traveling from here to here. I'm happy sleeping on somebody's couch, right? Yeah. And I think until we understand how they feel and what their goals are, it kind of goes back to personalization. Is that what you're agreeing with?
No, that's exactly right. And I think they are, the majority of our talent at W is a very young talent. They are drawn to our brand because of the freedom if you have within the framework, less structured. And they are so creative. They're willing to work hard. If it's a job that interests them, they will put in 10 hours. There's not an issue. And we'll get to that in another point. They're looking for a different work schedule. And this is our world. Our world is evolving. And we either embrace it or we become dinosaurs, if you will. And so I love our millennial talent, and it is my obligation. I mean, I have children as well, obviously. So I think about my kids too. I think, what field are they in? And is someone taking the time to mentor them? So back to get in the trenches with the team. If you're not in the trenches, you can't pass on all these learnings that we've picked up over 20, 30 years.
Right. And then the next one is selecting, and let me put this up, selecting the right leader talent, and then the coaches. What does that mean when you're selecting? Because I know people are like, oh, I'm gonna wait for the right person, or we're just gonna hire the next person that's breathing, walking into our door.
Yeah, so it's so critical when you hire, when we say talent coaches, leaders, managers, department heads. I think it is really important. It encompasses the first and second point, but you want somebody that truly cares about people and that is genuine. Thankfully, I would say, or hopefully, gone are the days where, there's you are one person, and when you walk into work, you should leave your personality outside the door and come in and get that job done and do more. It doesn't work that way. And if you have the right leaders, you can foster an environment where people are comfortable. And this is a novel concept. Why can't you have some fun at work?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We all go to work for different reasons. And you brought up a great point. Some of us want to own a home, and some of us are happy couch surfing. But at the end of the day, everybody has expenses. They may differ. But, that's why, first and foremost, let's face it, that's why people are at work. Because if we won in the lottery tomorrow and I had 500 million, a lot of us probably wouldn't be at work anymore, right? Because that would give us the gift of time. But that's not the case, and we are at work. And so I think it's important to have some fun and to be inspired by people that we work with and work for. We've had great leaders, all of us, and I think people dialing in, when you think about that inspiration and how it felt to have a great leader. It feels good. And so that's why it's important to select the right people. Very, very important.
Right.
There's a saying in German that the fish stinks at the head. And I promise you, I won't give any more German sayings. But if you think about it, right? So the head of the fish that's me, that's management. And so that's why it's so important to have the right people so that we have, a organization where people are comfortable.
Right. And then when you do not select the right person, in your case, as far as management style for you, if you just feel like, oh, it wasn't the right person, do you make a quick change, or how do you kind of motivate them to say, listen, you weren't probably fit for this position, but do you give them an alternative position at your hotel, or is this like, I'm going to kind of try to find somebody else?
Well, I think we would all, when we think about ourselves, we would all like to get a chance in life. And deserve a chance in life. So I think, it's not a hire and fire. It's hey, how can we work with this person to get them ingrained into our culture, into our organization? Sometimes that's not possible. And sometimes the person is not willing to see it. And then you would obviously follow progressive discipline if the person is not a great fit. But many times you are able to get that person to adjust. Or there is, to your point, Rupesh, there is a better role for them. Maybe it's not I've had people that have started at a welcome desk, a front desk, and they've ended up in accounting because that's what they were really good at it. They just didn't, some people are great in front of people and they crave that, and some would prefer to be the support system behind the scenes.
Right. And then the next one is pretty touchy. Let's bring it. It's pay and kind of benefits, because right now, hotels aren't making money. We're losing money.
That's correct. That's correct.
How do you pay top notch, and how do you get the best talent, because you be within the budget that you have? And I think pay is very sensitive right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I thought, do I put it on here or do I not? And I knew if I didn't put it on here, obviously it would be like, well, why don't we put it on there? And I thought about it and actually sat with my human resources director that I just hired and went through these. So these are not all, I have to be honest, coming from me. There was 3 of us that kind of sat and brainstormed it, because that's what I enjoy. We harness that power, but pay is critical. It should be on here. And but when I say pay, it's total package. And so when we think about, we've talked quite a bit about our millennial workforce. It's your salary, but then is there dental? Is there medical? Is there a vision care plan? Is there a support line if someone is struggling, right? So these are all things that are important. Not every employer offers it. Not every employer is able to, but there are many employers that do. And I don't think we talk about it enough.
Right.
It's also important, obviously, to be very candid, and that's going to come up in another bullet point that we have, but it's important to, make sure that people are aware of, the cost of benefits. And it is very, very expensive. Obviously, it's one of the number one costs for companies, and it continues to rise. But if those are offered, there's your base pay, and then there's your medical, and there's different health plans that you can put together. There's dental. These are all very important pieces that come together. And, you may have a talent member that joins and says, oh, I don't need that. But you could break your leg, you don't have health care, and you're going to be paying back that bill for a long time to come, because the hospital will find you and hunt you down to get their invoices paid. So, that's an important part. 401k. There's not really a pension plan unless you are in certain government positions. So that is your pension plan. What are you doing for the future? You may be 19 years old and, the world is at your doorstep, but you will need it. You can borrow against your pension plan when you go to buy that home that you want. That is your money. You can borrow against your pension plan. But if you don't have anything in there, you can't. So I think the 401k plans that companies offer, these are things that, even if it's only a couple of dollars a week, but this is all part of pay and being competitive with benefits. And vacation is, vacation is another, sick time, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think vacation is like super important when people need a break, and I feel like it's always been important to me as far as offering vacation, because that's like one thing that you've worked your butt off for the entire year, and you might get 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is at your company. But I think that time off it means a lot to a lot of people, and I think that's part of a package that you can roll out even right now. As maybe it's not the entire vacation period that you can package and give out at one time. Maybe it's broken down into several parts of the year or a few parts of the year, right? And I think that's beneficial, especially with people struggling at home or if their kids are home, right? And I understand that. So the next one is, we're talking about home, is how do you get that work-life fit and that support from the hotel and from leaders like yourself?
So I think we've all seen this, and many of us experience, and certainly those of us that have children experience it, the anxiety that you get when the school calls and says, Jimmy is not feeling well, I need you to pick him up, because let's face it, that's how it is. And someone has to pick little Jimmy up. And, if you are in a work environment where it's bad enough that you have to pick your child up, but now you're dealing with you can't leave. So I think it's important for us leaders to find ways to assist people when things like that happen. Life will throw you curveballs. It's going to happen to all of us. I guarantee you at some point in time. Nobody is untouchable from that. And you will need some help. And your employer or your managers, your extended family, if that help is given, I have known people that, and I've had people that I've worked with where, in those types of situations, they are amazing. If you work with people, people will work with you. So it's all about creating that right type of environment. Now, the other component to this is that, if you have, there's certain management positions in a hotel. You could take, for example, at W, a marketing manager. We do a lot of activations at W. Activations would mean a lot of big events. It could be yoga. Pre-COVID, we would do yoga on a pool deck and have people, and then maybe we would have a major concert on a Saturday night with 1,500 people at a concert. So the marketing manager should be at those events. Now, when I talk about work-life fit, it's not fair to say that marketing manager, well, you also need to be here Monday through Friday, 10 hours a day. So it's about flexible schedules and the ability to say, you know what, don't come in on Monday. That's okay. Or come in Monday afternoon for a few hours, but leave early on Friday because you're going to be here on Saturday. Things like that. It's not, okay, you were here Monday through Friday and now we have an event, so you need to be here on that day as well because you're a manager. I think those days should be gone. We need to get creative and work through that process.
Right. And I think that's important. We're talking about so much happening right now with just our own personal lives. We don't know what's happening at home for a lot of our teammates, right? A lot of our associates. And I think that's important. We need to understand getting to know them a little bit better might help you understand how you can give that personalized work-life fit for them. And, often people say, well, in hotels, there's no work-life balance because I feel like I'm always working, right? But I think people can stand up. I think people can stand up and say, listen, I definitely need some time, or I can make some time. They don't have to be there babysitting every single person, right? That's a mindset too. And I used to do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to do that where I would be that hovering manager. And are you doing this right? Are you going to be here? Let me call you. Call me. I'm here 24 hours a day. Call me. I'll drive over there right now.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. I let them make a mistake if they have to. They learn from that. And I think that's, as leaders, I think that's some opportunity for them to feel a good balance.
Right. No, and I will tell you, here at we're in a pre-opening office, obviously for Nashville. We have a handful of executives, and I'd also hired a administrative assistant who is absolutely amazing. And she and I had that conversation about she has a young son. I said, I don't want you ever to get an anxiety attack about something like that. It is, you'll pick him up. It might happen with my child, or I have to pick him up. And our owners are in this week, and I got here to get ready for this. I got here at probably 7:45. She was here this morning, setting everything up, getting everything ready. So that's, if you can harness that, and that's what people are looking for, right? That little bit of freedom within that framework. The job gets done and some.
Yeah, and guys, don't forget, we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card before the end of the show. Comment and let us know what you're doing in your life or at your hotel or at home to give you that balance. Are you taking time for yourself? Because I think that's important too. Now, the next thing we're talking about, working at home or dealing with what's going on right now and trying to be involved, is that community involvement. And it's so hard right now with COVID and kind of the pandemic, where there's not a lot of events happening, or they're happening, but they might be happening online. How do we get involved as hoteliers within the community? Because that's so important. And why is it important?
It is, I'm going to echo, it is so important, because if you think about your talent, your associates at the hotel, they want to give back. They want to work somewhere where they're proud of where they work. They really they want to tell their family, I work at Nashville. It's an amazing hotel. And it's not enough to just run a business. You have to be part of the community. So, small examples are, there are lots of charities out there that are just really, really needing volunteers, whether it's a food bank. And, many on the line today, I'm sure, have done that, or done it through the various places of worship. But if you think about it, it's, just to name a few, there's also small things you can do, like children's miracle hospitals, for example. I've gone there with team, and we've set up a Christmas tree, right? A Ronald McDonald House. We've gone there and we've cooked a meal for families whose children are, very, very sick. Planting trees. It's about the environment. It's about cleaning up parks, any of these. So I think it's important to meet as a team and strategize. It's not me saying, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. We meet as a team. What should we do? We narrow it down. Human resources is so key as well in organizing these events. And then, obviously there's things like, you get team t-shirts with a team logo. You have some fun with it. You have your pizza afterwards as a thank you for your time. You would be surprised, but this is something where I've been in hotels where when we've entered into tough financial environments, I've been very transparent. I've said, guys, we're doing a community event, but I want to be honest up front. We're all clocked out. So I'm not mandating that you attend. Everybody shows up. People show up. No, I want to do it. I want to give back. Because if you're in a tough environment, it's not fair to put that burden back on the owner of the hotel and say, well, you lost money last month, but we had 50 people at a park for a whole day times wages plus benefits. So those are things that are really, really important. And I mentioned just a few charities. There are so many out there that are very, very deserving. We could be on this phone, obviously, on this call all week. So it will vary from community to community. I personally will tell you the most impacted I probably have been. And gosh, I can't remember the name of, we did it when I was GM in Minneapolis. It was a food bank that sent meals to Haiti. And when you are packing the meals and you see what they're eating for a week, one little bag of rice and this protein powder, because you have, 5 people, if you've ever done it, set up. One does the rice, one does the scoop of protein powder, one bags it, one seals it, and off it goes. And then you go home. And you open your fridge and you've got mandarin oranges and you've got juice and you've got sparkling water and you've got cheese. It really, really, I think, is incumbent upon us to give back. We are, as hard as we have it, there are others that it doesn't even fit in the picture of what we're looking at or what we define as difficult. So, for me, putting these bags together that were honestly no bigger than something like this with rice and protein, and that was their full meal. and you see pictures of people with stunted growth because they don't have a meal, things that we take for granted, it feels great to give back. It feels great, and it's a great team builder as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to transparency. I think a lot of people are saying that being transparent is it makes a big difference when you're the leader at your hotel. And I think that's the next out of the 10, it's transparent leadership. And what does that actually entail, and how do you become a transparent leader when you might have so much going on within your own life?
Yeah, I think being transparent or be transparent leadership is also, we talked about the example of, hey, we've got a charity event, but we lost money this month in whatever market we're in, hypothetically, and it's a burden to owners. I think it's important to be candid with your team and say, this is why I can't have 50 people cleaning the park and paying them, because owners wrote a check this week. I think a lot of organizations don't do that, and there's this like secret, let's not share. I mean, yes, you don't have to share a full P&L with an NOI on it to every talent member in the hotel, but I think it's important in terms of, also that mentoring piece is to explain to people how a business operates and how a business works. And there are hard costs, and there are months that are just not very good based upon climate or seasonality, and where you can't do certain things like that. And maybe there are years, for example, there are years where people may have done turkeys for Thanksgiving. Is every hotel able to do it now with COVID? There are a majority of owners that are writing checks just to stay alive. Their loans have run out. So is it appropriate that we are writing a check for, 300 turkeys? Maybe not. But you just can't say there's no turkey this year. You need to have the conversation with everyone so people understand why. And my experience has been that people are much more motivated. Transparent leadership is also, it is applicable to things such as service levels. If there was an issue with a customer, you address it appropriately, and you say, listen, this is where the customer is coming from. This is what they heard. This is the conversation I had with them. And you just have to be now, that conversation is very difficult to have. To be transparent and to be candid with someone is extremely difficult. And it doesn't matter, at least this is my opinion, if you could have been in the industry for 25 years and in all sorts of positions. I will tell you, when you go to have that conversation with someone, and if it's a very difficult conversation, you can feel the adrenaline running. You can feel a little jitter right before you have it, because there are conversations that won't be received very well, but that's your obligation as a leader. You have to have that conversation, and you would be very surprised. People will sometimes say to you, Rupesh, thank you. Nobody's ever told me that. Now, what do I need to do to work on that? That's the second part of your obligations. You have to say, okay, Jimmy, X, Y, Z, and let me help you. So it's important to be candid. It's a crucial building block of leadership.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's, we talked about having a party in the next month for the holidays, and we've talked about all those things within our teams. And same thing, we're sharing like, hey, instead of just us telling you we're going to do this thing or we're not going to do this thing, we had everybody on the team come together as leaders and say, here are some options. What do you recommend? What do you think is an opportunity for everybody to kind of put their input in? And that shows that you're being transparent instead of just saying, listen, we lost money this year, we're not having a party, right?
That's right. That's right.
I think that's very important. I like that you say that you have to be transparent. I think it's very important right now. All right, the next one is timely feedback. And I have made that mistake in the past where I let things slide. I won't, if something's happening on the property, I will just wait. And then all of a sudden it turns into a bigger issue.
Yeah.
In your words, what does timely feedback mean when we're trying to motivate people?
Yeah, I'll give you one example, and I think this sums it up for literally everyone on our call today, is that how many people have gotten their review at the end of the year and were absolutely dumbfounded because they felt they should be here, and a manager came in and said, well, you're here. I have a problem with that, because timely feedback is, if you start in January, just to make things simple, and you have your review in December, feedback should be immediate. Feedback should be happening in January, in February, in March, progressively, so that when you sit at the end of the year in your review, unless you're in complete denial, and that too should have been addressed prior, there's not this shock. I have been at hotels where department heads have, submitted a glowing review, and I've said, no, I just don't see it. You're going to have to go back and have a conversation. And these are some of the things I've seen. And the person was next in my office saying, yeah, this is not fair. I've always gotten the top rating of a 10, and this is crazy. Now you're having to undo some of the shortcomings of perhaps predecessors, because it goes back to the candor right before this and that adrenaline rush that you get where you've got to sit in front of someone at the review and say, listen, Jimmy, or anybody out there, Jimmy, please forgive me. It's just an example today, but or Mary, we'll switch it up a little bit. Hey, Mary, honestly, you were a bit short with our customers. Like, that has to be something that you've had conversations with. So if Mary says, well, I don't see it that way. Well, we discussed it in March. We discussed it again at the mid-year in June. We gave you some steps to improve. So I'd like to talk about that. It cannot be that Mary's going like, I have never heard this before. I've been in the business. Imagine people saying, I've been in the business for 20 years and no one's ever told me this. That sounds unreal, but it does happen.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So I think that's timely feedback is just so important.
Yeah, and I think you can use that on the other side too. We're talking about motivating our entire team, but it's feedback when you're talking to guests and they're sharing feedback with you. If you're that leader that just holds off or waits for things to get fixed, or just says, oh, it's going to get better, that room's, don't worry about that room, we'll get it fixed next time, just go ahead and rent it. Well, it catches up to you. And I think that feedback, even dealing with guests, on both sides, because your team's your guests, but then also your guests are your guests, right? That getting things done quickly, I think, is a great habit.
And don't wait to thank people. It's so elementary. And my mom drilled it into me when I was going, please and thank you. So I'd be thank you, no thank you, yes, please, no thank you, but that's not dated. It's not out of, it's not something like that. There's never well, it's hip or it's in or it's not. It's basically good manners. And I think I saw in one of the comments, someone had said, hey, $50 on a pillow. And that's great. I like that. But the issue I would have with that, or I would say, let's think about it, is if you've got 20 people, and it always amazes me, but your servers, they will talk about compensation and tips. And I don't know why people, but they will. And so, then Mary's going to come and say, hey, I just got $50. So Mary's really happy, but the other 19 are not so happy. And so I'm not, there's a time and a place and there's a way to do it, right? Definitely. But I also think that let's start with the basics before we do any of that, which is, Mary, I want to thank you so much for what you did today, and give Mary an example. Like, why are you thanking her? And don't do, as I call the leadership drive-by, which is, hey, Rupesh, good morning, how are you? And before you can answer, I'm already out the door, right? That's something that we here in America that we do a lot. So I would encourage people to pause and say, hey, good morning, Rupesh, how are you? And then wait. And I hope that at some point in time, you're going to say, you know what, I'm not having a good day. And you know what, then we should have a conversation around that. Yes, obviously, when you ask that question, you should be ready for the answer. And I know that's why a lot of people, I'm fine, thank you. But that all goes back to creating a healthy and a positive work environment. Maybe there's some stuff happening. Maybe we can talk about it before things bubble up and blow up. But timely on both sides. You're absolutely right. And I'm glad you brought that up. It's important to say thank you, or you did a great job right there in the moment. So people it's still fresh in their memory and say, oh, really? Yeah, do it again. And in fact, you did it so well that I want to inspire the other two to come in on a mid-shift, because that's exactly what we need to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're at the W Nashville. I mean, it just sounds fun. And I've stayed at quite a few W's and they're just all fun. And the next one is have fun. And I think that's an important thing that we all miss out sometimes when we're just running around, cleaning rooms, doing this, checking somebody in, dealing with our team, hiring, all of those things that we do, maybe driving the shuttle to the airport and back. But, there's different things that just sometimes we feel like it's not fun. So how do you motivate the entire team to have fun when it's just like work?
Yeah, and I think this is something that, there's not a lot of positives about getting older. I will tell you, you get up in the morning and you have stuff that never hurt me before. But I will tell you, here is something is that you can buy, is that as you get older, and we talked about this earlier, if you're paying attention, you've had some ups and you've had some downs. You've been knocked down. You've got some life experience. That's something that you just can't have. I'm not targeting a 20-year-old, but a 50-year-old has had all of this. A 20-year-old you just don't have it yet. So as you get older, you realize life is short, right? Because then you have relatives that, pass away, and sometimes, unfortunately, at a younger age, and you're just like, it's not fair. So you should really try to live life to the fullest, which is lost on us sometimes when we're younger because we're invincible. And so because life can be very short and we don't choose our timing in life, right? And you go to work to pay bills, mortgage, rent, helping family, you're sending money home, whatever the case may be. But what a novel concept if you actually have a little fun at work as well. And I think we're in a fun business. We really are. It doesn't have to be all, well, yes, madam, of course, certainly. And then madam leaves, you're like, oh, she wants us to walk her dog again. I hate her dog. I mean, it doesn't have to be like that. Our customers are craving fun. They come to a hotel, they want an experience. It's not about a guest room, because when you think about it, regardless of brand or luxury tier, sometimes there's not that much of a difference between the guest room in various hotels. It's about the people, right? People use that, and it's not my term, but brick and mortar. That's what a hotel is. So it could be a select service hotel, it can be an extensive hotel, it can be a luxury hotel, a mid-tiered hotel, or it can be a lifestyle hotel that is, just crazy on steroids, but it's still brick and mortar. It's about the people that are in the hotel and how they're putting the vibe, the heartbeat of the hotel. So customers will notice if talent are having fun. And I think the customers should have some fun too while they're staying with us. They're paying, in some cases, quite a bit of money for a guest room. Why shouldn't they have fun? I'm not saying that if you're here for business, we're going to do a rave in the lobby and it's going to be amazing. Probably not appropriate. But there are other ways to do it. And I think we should have fun. I think it just, in closing, as a leader, it's important that you're the cheerleader, for lack of better terms, with your team and your staff, and you encourage people to have fun. It's okay to be a little goofy sometimes.
Yeah, and as Esteban says, it's all about the vibe for sure. And I think it's definitely about the vibe, and I think it's about getting the entire team on board to have fun. And so at the W, do you guys take in ideas from your entire team and your talent to say, hey, what can we do to have more fun? Or what ideas do you guys have to make this a better experience for our guests and maybe for ourselves too?
So collaboration is always better. I shared with you how yesterday our DHR is on our first week, and we have a task force. She comes from outside the company, so we have a task force person in helping her with the systems and everything. And I walked over and said, "Hey, I've got this thing going on in the morning. We want to talk about 10 ways to motivate people. I'd like to get your." And we sat down on a pad right here, and we just jotted, and then we refined it, and we could have kept on going because we were having a blast. We were actually ready to order some lunch and just keep on going. But I think it's just it's a collaborative team effort, and it's always better when and it doesn't matter what somebody's title is, because people and this should resonate with everyone today, right? You've got people that work on a front desk that were professors in another country, and perhaps because of a language barrier, they're now in banquets setting up rooms, or they're a stylist in a public space. But they have a lot to contribute, so much to contribute to this. So it's like, hey, what's your idea? And let's narrow it down, and let's have some fun at work. What does that look like? So anytime we do something at our hotels, we'll put together we call it fun committee, and the committee will get together and they will put a theme. So let's say you do your annual holiday event. It's the fun committee driving it. It's not me. I don't even sit on the fun committee. I'll sit on the first couple of meetings, and I'll obviously say, guys, we do have a budget that we have to adhere to. So and then once that non-fun part is out of the way, they put it together, and then we look at it, and we've done some crazy, amazing parties. They come up with amazing stuff that there's not even a big cost to. Where I'm like, how did you think of this? This is amazing, incredible. Yeah. We need to do this for some. Yeah, and do it for customers. Why not do it for there's obviously not a lot of meetings happening right now, not a lot of events, but they will come back, because let's be honest, Zoom will not replace face-to-face meetings. Zoom is great, but it will not, it's just not going to happen. So ultimately, people are going to be, and when it comes back, people are going to be looking for something that's motivating and fun. And what do we have, right? So if you're doing a product launch, I remember once we did a product launch for a dishwasher, we put the dishwasher in the middle of the pool and then had synchronized swimmers swimming around it. It's a dishwasher. Why not have fun with it? It doesn't have to be in a ballroom. If you don't have a pool, you could come up with something else. But there's lots of fun things you could do to get your customers having fun as well and spending money.
Yeah, Yeah, that's awesome. And I think when you can get the entire team on board with the idea, because it's especially because it's their idea, you
Yeah.
get more buy-in. And I think a lot of people say like, oh yeah, I have these ideas, but I'm not getting buy-in from anybody. Nobody's motivated to do the things I want to do. But then you realize that all these ideas are yourself, and you're telling people what to do instead of getting the collaboration that you talked about.
That's right.
And I kind of like that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And so the next one, all right, we're almost down, guys. If you've loved this episode so far, we've had probably over a couple hundred comments. I know you guys have liked this. Hit the like button right now, and then comment what's one topic that you've really written down and kind of taken to heart, and maybe taken to your team to motivate them, or maybe it just helps yourself, right? So the next one is hospitality is not a profession. I mean, it's a profession. It's not just a job. What does that mean? And what does that mean for our team?
So for me, hospitality, when I look back, I don't have any family members in hospitality. I was, my parents did a decent job at raising me, but if you had put me in front of a 3-course menu, that was not the environment I grew up in. I would not have known which fork and which spoon and or how to button a jacket properly. The hospitality industry taught me that. So because you were around so much diversity, you're around people from all over the world. So when I worked in Salt Lake City, the LDS Church had brought in a lot of people from Sarajevo, Bosnia during that time, during that crisis. And so I got to learn about their culture and what they had been through. When I worked in Minneapolis, there's a huge Somali community. So we had a lot of Somali working in the hotels. The cultures are amazing, and they're all so different. When I worked in Houston, we had quite a few people from Ethiopia, different culture again. So to me, our job, what I tell people when they're thinking about the hotel business is I say, listen, be ready for a wild ride. You can work anywhere in the world, right? You will work with the most amazing people. How many businesses are out there where you can start in one area? Take, for example, in the restaurants, and you could end up as a director of human resources, ultimately as a vice president or a senior vice president of human resources within an organization. You can do it. People have done it. When people say it can't be done, I remember in Germany when, at the time, it was very, very popular to be in the hotel business. So it was very difficult to get a place, and they only took 3 interns, and you needed parents who were connected, and second language, this, that, and the other. And then there was me that came from, I had no wealth, and the German was okay after the year of studying it. And people would say, well, what do you want to be? And I would say, I want to be a general manager. And people would laugh. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But if you believe in it, you can do it. Right? If you believe in it, you can do it. And I think it's important to tell people coming in, when I hire people for engineering, I say, listen, and you see that they're driven. I say, you can be a director of engineering. You can be, you can have a 6-figure salary at the appropriate size hotel. You can lead a team of 10, 15, 20 people. Like the hotel business is, people think, oh yeah, you're a waiter. And I've been a waiter. There's nothing wrong with being a waiter. And there are waiters that make a lot more than their executive committee members do. So
absolutely.
Excuse me. So the point is that the hotel business offers so much. It's a fun business. You can, people have put their kids through, I've worked with people where their children have been the first in that family to go to college because their parents have worked hard. So it's a great business. It will be back. But it's a profession. And those of us that say it's a profession, this is not a job. This is not a job. That it's a profession that we do. We are serving people. We are giving people experiences. On the lifestyle side, obviously there's an entertainment factor that we deal with as well. But it is, to me, there's many things in life when I look back that perhaps I would tweak and change, certainly. My choice of career is not one of them. And there's been ups and downs. And obviously during COVID, this has probably been the hardest time, I would say. And I wanted to touch on that, if you don't mind, for just a moment, because there are probably many people on the call that have been furloughed for 9 months, furloughed for 10 months, are severanced, and not knowing what's next. I can't even imagine. But there are also people that are working. I just talked to a former colleague, now a friend of mine, who said, it's just so much. He's working. He's fortunate to be working, but there's just so much. There's so much. We're working so hard. We're working 6 days a week, and some people are working, with a 20, 25% pay cut.
Right.
This is clearly the most difficult time that we have ever navigated through. We love our industry. We love our business. Some people have been forced to choose and switch gears and go into other industries. I applaud them because you have to do what you have to do to take care of your family. Bills have to be paid. but we will be back. We are coming out of this. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think hospitality for many of us is we started out by saying it's a profession, not a job. It's a calling for a lot of us. And yes, that's when my wife, who's not in the hospitality industry, kind of says, David, you're dramatic. It's not rocket science. But what we do, people come and they celebrate all milestones of life, right? You touched on that. You had family members just come in, stayed in a hotel where, you lost a loved one. And I had done the same thing, right? I lost last year an aunt way too young. I flew to Ireland. We all stayed in a hotel, and she had lived most of her life in Galway, which is on the west coast. And we all stayed in a hotel, and we met in a hotel. And obviously, being Irish, we all celebrated her life in a hotel. And it was, so that's one example. But then you also have kinseys, bar and bat mitzvahs, communions, and you could go on and on. Birthdays, anniversaries, bachelorette parties. It goes on and on, right? There are lots of examples, and I know I've missed a lot of them, but we're all part of that. We are creating this environment for people, and we will get to do that again. I know that because a world without hotels and hospitality and travel, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I cannot wait to travel again. I cannot wait. Like many of you, probably all of you, you cannot wait for guests to come to your hotel. But then the same thing, you go out and take a trip, go out and stay at another hotel, go out and experience this thing called hospitality. And it's a way of life, I think, more than anything. When we're talking about a profession, and David, I've loved these 10 things that you've shared with us. And I know you have a few more, and we're going over an hour, which is people are like super excited about all the stuff that you've shared. And lastly, I just wanted to share the 3 tips in hospitality that you brought to our attention, and let me post them up real quick. All right, so the first one.
Yeah, so we talked about these yesterday, myself and Lisa and Erica, and I have found that so I'm going to contradict myself on the first one as well, the first and the second one a little bit. So the first one is once you've been in the hospitality industry for a while, find your brand. So if you take my company, the parent company, Marriott International, brands are so different. If you are part of Ritz-Carlton, as ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of people who will say, I will never work for another brand. That's how strong that culture is. Conversely, on the other side of the equator are us double, W rebels or disruptors, as we call ourselves. And we are like, no, that's not for us. We love W. We love the color. We love the vibrancy of our hotel. And so it's just a very different offering for your customers. So if you find your brand that enables you to own your personality, and just a really quick illustration, I had hired a catering executive, and I had done a who had probably in her late 40s and had quite a bit of experience, worked for many different brands, and this was her first time at a W. And then I did the recap with her a few weeks later. And then I did a month down the road, another sit down and say, how is it going? And she said, you know what? And this told me that it reiterates this really, is that she said, I've had a lot of jobs. This is the first job where I can be myself. And this is obviously directly W. You can come. I'm not worried about what your hair looks like, right? I mean, there are certain uniformed areas, but that's part of our larger than life personality at a W, which is why some people are attracted to it. So, which makes us who we are. And I knew that the way we were managing the hotel, then I knew we were on the right track because of that feedback that she had given me. So I think find the right brand. A W is not for everyone. A Ritz-Carlton is not for everyone. There's great extended stay, select service where you can be a general manager at a very young age and you crave that responsibility. You have a small team you're responsible for. So find your brand and be happy. There's work, and then there's home. And sometimes you're at work a lot more than you are home, but don't forget the other piece. It's important because time goes by before you know it. And all of a sudden you're in your late 40s, raising my hand here, and you're like, oh, it went by kind of quickly. And I think there's a few things I missed out on.
Yeah, sure. And then the second was be open to opportunities. I think we touched on this last week where, all of us have opportunities come by our way almost every day or often. And if we don't take advantage of those opportunities and be ready for them to take action on them, I think we miss out on this huge thing that we could have been a part of as far as our career or even in life. And so when you're saying be open to opportunities, is that what you mean?
That's exactly what I mean. So a couple of examples, don't be afraid to take that step. Once the hotel business comes back, there will obviously be a lot of opportunities. And once it's stabilized, there will be a lot of opportunities. So some of those may require a move. You may not have ever moved. Think about it. Consider it. It could be life-changing. I'd hired a manager in Scottsdale that had spent the majority of her life in Boston. And she took that really brave step of coming down to Scottsdale to talk about a change in climate and landscape, right? And she was amazing, did an amazing job. She was away from her family, but I've thought about her because how brave, right? The first time moving away from her family, we actually hired her from outside the industry. She's in marketing, and she did an incredible job. And, that's being open to opportunities. But also, if you are that person, and this is where I contradict myself a little bit, obviously it worked for me as a multi-time GM where I thought, okay, I love lifestyle and that's what I want to stay in. So that's why I brought up the first point of find your brand. It enables me to be myself. Now, if you are still climbing and growing your career, you should be open to multi-brands. Here comes the contradiction, because if you aspire to be a sales and marketing executive or a general manager, and you are at a Courtyard by Marriott, for example, and there's an opportunity at your Marriott next door, you should think about taking that. Or there's an opportunity at a Moxie Hotel, just to name a few of our brands or a residence, and you may really enjoy extended stay. So I think you should be open to other brands as you're growing your career and you're climbing the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah. And I think that, if you're just used to a mid-scale property or a luxury property, and you haven't experienced everything else in the industry that you might actually like more than what you're doing right now,
that's exactly
you're missing
right.
out on opportunity. I think there's so many different things inside of the hotel industry, just like you're saying, marketing. It's like something that maybe you never did before, but now you've learned this because there's so much free resources. Like, honestly, everything I've learned in marketing that you see on LinkedIn for the last 7-8 years is all because I learned it from somebody else online, which is like the craziest thing. I didn't go to school for marketing, but I learned all of these things, all these posts that you see, I learned it from somebody else, right? Online.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities.
Yeah, you could be a operations manager at a luxury hotel, and there could be an opportunity, given your background as a GM at a 80-room select service hotel, and you may never look back. You may say, I've got a small team, but it's my team. You're one of 400 at that luxury hotel, but then you may have a small team, but you get to chart the direction of that hotel. And so I think it's something that people should be open to and consider, because hospitality is hospitality. And you can do it in a luxury hotel, but boy, it's needed everywhere, regardless of the category of hotel.
Absolutely. And I know I have a few names on my list right now, but I might pick a few more and put them on the list for the winner of the $50 Amazon gift card. We have one last thing. It is, don't be put off by schedule. And by the way, comment if you liked this episode so much and what your favorite part of this episode was. Or if you just love David in general, he's been awesome. I've loved every single thing that you've shared, David. And the last thing here is, don't be put off by the schedule. What does that mean?
We're obviously in a global economy, and what we see in the hotel business frequently is that people that are considering that are like, yeah, I know, but I need my weekends. I would say to people, listen, yes, of course we work a lot of weekends. And when I was general manager in Scottsdale, I worked every Saturday because we threw these huge pool parties. And it goes back to one of the top 10 lead in the trenches. I felt I needed to be there for my team, because there would be days where 1,200 people on a pool deck. That's plus a sold out hotel. That's a busy hotel. So I think when you think about your schedule, yes, you might have to work on a Saturday, but think about being off on a Monday. There's no line at the grocery store. There's no line to get your oil changed. You can get into businesses that are actually closed on a weekend, banking, whatnot. So there are lots of advantages. You work in the evening, but you're off during the day. So there's lots of advantages. There's lots of perks and benefits. The opportunity to travel, different company offer significant employee rates at hotels. Once we're all traveling again, take advantage of that. It just broadens your horizon. And, overall, the hotel business there's no other business like it. There's really not. It's just an amazing business driven by amazing individuals. And that's what makes the experience. So you can make a great living in the hotel business. Used to be people said, like, oh, you don't make any money in the hotel business. Well, you can make a very competitive salary in the hotel business. So the hotels have changed, and there's going to be lots and lots of opportunities down the road as there are more and more people retiring, as the hotel business bounces back. So I would say to anyone, obviously I have a vested interest in saying everybody should take a look at the hotel business. Think about it. Revenue management, sales, marketing, operations, lots of areas you can work in. Lots of areas you can work in. So it's a great place to be.
Absolutely. And, you know, as you're opening up your hotel first quarter of 2021, I know there's some openings, and this is kind of my time to say, there are people that are listening that are going to watch this afterwards. You may have some opportunities at your hotel that you're looking for some talented talent, right? Can you share some open opportunities that you have for maybe some people that are listening, or maybe they know somebody, which I posted this morning. Your network means everything in life. I told my kids this last night, and I always share this with them. Doesn't matter what you know, it's your network that's going to build you up. It's your network that's going to get you far, right? And so the same thing. What opportunities do you have that maybe we can share with our audience, or maybe somebody knows somebody that's looking for something?
Yeah, so I've started obviously in a pre-opening with the executive committee, and you know, most people on the phone are familiar with hotel structure. You have an executive committee, department heads, managers, and we've started with the executive committee here, and so we have those basically staffed. We will probably be in the next few months opening management positions in food and beverage and operations, in sales. We will be opening talent positions in those areas, you know, front desk, housekeeping, engineering, for example. The majority of those jobs would be with our parent company. They're on greatjobs.marriott.com. But also we will be obviously on LinkedIn as well, posting jobs. It's a different environment that we live in. Are we doing a hiring hall? We're working through the details of that, you know, in the era of social distancing. We'll need to be very thoughtful around that. So it will require us to approach it a little bit differently. So that's something that we're working through, but there will definitely be positions. And given the environment that we're in, ultimately this hotel, I would imagine, would have, as I had mentioned, you know, close to 400. We're not going to have that number of individuals right away because occupancies are not there. But there's definitely positions that we will be hiring, I would imagine, the end of December, in January. And Nashville is an amazing place. I've been here now going on month 3, and it's incredible, the creativity of the people. And, you know, I met with a local newspaper yesterday to talk about the hotel and the opening. And you know, one of the questions is, you know, what strikes you, or your takeaway from being in Nashville for the last 2+ months? And I said, it's just, people are so creative. Now, I know it's the Music City, and that has, you know, partly to do with it, but they're also so genuine. I've lived in a lot of different places, and that's not the case in every city. But here, people are just so genuine. It's like really, really, really good people. And so it's definitely a happening place, Nashville. So something to put on your radar if somebody were considering a place to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited to come back to Nashville. I've been there a few times, and it's always been a fun, creative, and there's so many talented people. They're just within the city. But David, this has been an amazing. I can't wait to get I wrote down one thing, and that was, I want to talk about incentives. And next time we come, once your hotel's open, I actually want to come after this whole pandemic is over, and I want to sit at your hotel with you and talk about incentives, because I know there's a whole thing behind incentives, and maybe getting your entire team on board with it. And that's another way to motivate our team. So David, this has been a pleasure. Any last words? Where can people connect with you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, obviously, under David Cronin, and always happy to connect with people. I've been getting a lot of messages just about employment opportunities and whatnot. It's been a little bit overwhelming, but I was committed to responding to everybody because I really understand. I got a note yesterday from someone who said, you know, I said, sorry, that job is, the applicant is with ownership. He said, but thank you for responding, because I'm not getting responses right now, which that's not right. People are going through a lot. So at least we should be, you know, as employers, we should be responding to people. That's the least we can do. But it has been at times a little bit overwhelming because I was the first hire. Now with human resources we'll be able to divide and conquer. It's LinkedIn is definitely probably a good place to connect with me.
Awesome. Well, David, it was a pleasure speaking with you. And listen,
Likewise.
if you need a DJ at your fun hotel, check this out. I'm actually a DJ.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I'm going to take you up on that. We have multiple venues with multiple DJs. So definitely we'll get you down here and spin some tunes for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. David, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Let's chat soon, and stay well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Take care.
And before you leave, David,
okay.
I think there was one person, there's several people, and I wrote down several names now. And I think there's one person that has been super engaged here on this episode that's going to win the $50 Amazon gift card is Allison Hemsap. Congratulations, Allison. You just won a $50 gift card to Amazon. Send me a direct message here on LinkedIn, and I'll show you how to get that gift card today. Congratulate Allison right now. And
congrats, Allison.
Talk to you next. Yeah. All right, David. Thank you.
I'm off to the construction site. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, see ya. Guys, this is an awesome episode. We discovered so many different ways to inspire our teams, get them motivated, get ourselves motivated, because that's sometimes what we need. It's just that one extra thing that we need. Guys, congratulations to Allison. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Next week, we have somebody amazing on. I can't wait to talk with that person, and keep sharing ideas, keep motivating you, keep going as we all continue getting on the road to recovery. Guys, if you loved this episode, please hit the like button right now. Comment that you loved it. That way your entire network sees it. And then, by the way, share it if you want to inspire your entire team. We're also available. All 63 episodes are available on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Rupesh Live. Connect with me on Instagram at Rupesh.co or at RupeshCO. And guys, I'm just here to help you guys grow. All of us grow together. I'll see you next week. Take care of each other, and stay well.